warm welcome to Dr. Zia's YouTube channel. Here I am today going to discuss sampling technique. This is very important topic because when the data is large, population is large, we need to establish certain sampling so that the research process may be performed easily, comfortably, and accordingly. For this purpose, let us first of all think about population and sample. The sample is the specific group of individuals from whom you collect data. I mean, it comes from out of population. The selection is made on certain criterion which are going to follow from the population. As everybody knows that population is a geographical location, age, income grouping of the relevant factors. It is essentially to define that the population is the number of people on whom or about whom the research is to be conducted. Out of this population, sample is made in order to facilitate the research. And so there are different type of things which are important in case of sampling. First of all is the sampling frame, which is very clear when we see that the sampling frame is the actual list of individuals from which the sample will be drawn. Ideally, it should include everyone from the target population. To my view, it is the total population's list from where the sample is to be drawn, that is called the sampling frame. For example, if we are researching the working condition at a social media market company, your sampling frame would be the company's human resource database listing all 1000 employees. So in that way, one sampling frame is to be taken out of which sampling will be taken or done. Sample size, this is also very important how much the sample size is there. The number of individuals in your sample depends on factors like population, size, variability, and research design. So it means that when we want to determine what type of or how much the size of the sample should be from the population, this cannot be randomly done. However, there are certain things which are important. For example, what is the total population size? How much the variability is available in the population, and what is our research design, and accordingly we may be able to have a sample size. And for this purpose, various things are very much important. Like if we look at this picture, we can see that different sample sizes have been told to us, that sometime we can go for number 1, then number 5, or at number 10, or at number 20 to construct the sample size. Or we can make a random selection by just looking at the things in that way, as the picture shows that out of the 8 people, second, fifth, and eighth and 10 are thought to be worthy of included in the sampling. So the sample size or the sample style can be determined by looking at these factors. There are different sampling methods, and definitely population and sample are very important again. The very first sampling method that we must talk about is the probability sampling. It's a kind of random selection. It allows very strong statistical inferences about the entire population. It also minimizes the bias which may be present there. Under probability sampling, we have first of all simple random sampling. Here, each individual has an equal chance of being selected, which means that from out of the population, anyone can be selected, so equal chances are there. If there are 100 people, the chance of the first people or the 10th or the 90th people is present there. Systematic sampling. This comes because of the system that we established, that either out of the 100, the every fifth person or every 10th or every 15th or 20th will be taken as the member of the sampling. At that time, this type of sampling will be called as the nth sampling or the systematic sampling. Sorry. There are other methods of sampling also under probability sampling. The another one is stratified sampling. Here, this population is divided into strata. That means certain groups, and these groups are formed on, for example, their age or their qualification or their other traits which are quite distinct from each other. And out of these groups, then the sampling is done, selection is made. This type of sampling must be termed as the stratified sampling. Then comes the cluster sampling. Sometimes population is very widely distributed, and out of that it's difficult to reach each and every individual. So we will be forming clusters based on the neighborhood, based on the school, based on mahalla or the street. The clusters will be formed out, and out of that, then the individuals will be selected. So from these clusters, when sampling is made, it is called as the cluster sampling. Like probability sampling, we have non-probability sampling also. It means that it will be non-random selection based on convenience or other criteria. There is no rule for that, and that is why it is called as a non-probability sampling. There is no equal chance of everybody to be included into that. So that is why, first of all, it's the convenient sampling. Convenient sampling means how I can reach, how a researcher can reach easily and comfortably the members of the population he may be selecting accordingly. For example, adjacent, proximity, or the meeting ease or comfort that may be important. In this regard, its convenient sampling is made. It can be highly biased also. Then is the purposive sampling. This is this type of selection of sampling is done on the specific individuals intentionally. That means the researcher has an intention that he will be selecting this individual or that individual out of the population. This is again a bias sampling, but this is very good one also, and it is called as the purposive sampling. Under the heading of non-probability sampling, we have the snowball sampling also. This is also done at that time the participation is very large and accessibility is very difficult. At that time, a few individuals will be selected for sampling, and after that they will be given the task to go further, and in that way they will be spreading and scattering in whole of the population, and that will be called as the snowball sampling. Same is the case with quota sampling. This is done by selecting a type of quota from every group or from every group of participants, and then out of that a quota is assigned that from one group three people or from the other groups of five people as per quota are selected. If this type of sampling is done, this is called as the quota sampling. Sampling is very much important, as we have seen in case of non-probability sampling. There is convenient sampling, which is important. Again, purposive sampling comes at number 2 and snowball sampling comes at 3. So in this way, sampling can be done in order to achieve specific comfort and smoothness of the research. In conclusion, we can say that each sampling technique has its own strengths and weaknesses, and the choice of technique depends on various factors such as the research objectives, the nature of the population, resource constraints, and the desired level of precision and generalizability. Researchers must carefully consider these factors when selecting a sample technique to ensure the validity and reliability of their findings. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you in some next video of the same nature and kind.